So Miss Shaquita Shedd was in charge of the case according to her testimony from January of 2020 to July of 2020. She claims that they send out documentation monthly to make contact with their clients. This is what she claimed. She said every other month. Turner, Patrinia Turner, the supervisor, she said she's been the supervisor for 5 years there. She wasn't the supervisor who I was dealing with initially. It was Felicia Gladney, who was very hostile, disrespectful, and they all were in conspiracy basically to kidnap. Is what the evidence shows by not contacting me immediately on March the 13th, 2019. They began a campaign to suppress who the father was, even though there was willing acknowledgement given by my mother that I was the father. There wasn't a diligent report done on me. It was one done on the other fathers. And the only diligent report they like to do or mention that they do is for welfare, DCFS, for welfare or in the jail link or something like that. This is what Shaquita Shedd said on the stand. These were the only locations she searched. Okay, so I was employed during all that time. I have communications with Felicia Gladney that shows that I'm employed. I'm sharing letterheads, and that's my services. So if those were the services to make me compliant with the agency, as my Exhibit 6 is going to show today, once I get off of work and go to court, from my break here, then I'm going to get back on the clock here, and it's going to show in Exhibit 6 that the only thing that she stated I need to be compliant is my employment, which is always presented. This is the only thing they presented for the monthly presentations that they sent out. No date on there, no address. This is something they just made up to lie and say that they send notices out monthly to keep in contact with me. I'm on Facebook every day, every day, especially during those times. A lot of prophecies I had during January to July of 2020 that's still coming to pass right now. Okay, they're still coming to pass right now. When you talk about the election, that was an election season. Okay, so she had plenty of opportunities to communicate with me. They intentionally used the fake situation in Houston, where you have all these motions for. That's what all their interest was, hoping that Houston was going to conspire with them and give them something to use against me. This is what all the motions, all of the petitions that they have was dedicated towards. That's what all their efforts were towards here. Subpoena for records in Harris County. This is a subpoena for production of documents and discovery in accordance with Illinois Supreme Court rules. They bringing out Illinois Supreme Court rules to get Houston to produce some type of hope to paint me in a bad light. Some type of hope. October the 4th of 2019. What's the other date here? December this subpoena here. October the 9th, 2019. Look how fast they working. October the 5th to the 9th. October the 5th. Who sent it? Matthews, I believe it was. If I remember her name right, I have to look on the records, but I believe it was Matthews. Yes, Jessica Matthews and Charles Goldberg. That's what all their efforts was. It wasn't to provide me with a court date. It was trying to find a way to try to make me look in a bad light. That's what their intent was. Okay, now as I say, they were supposed to reunite me with my son as soon as the incident happened on March the 13th of 2019. They didn't do this. They placed ads they placed petitions in the newspaper, in the Tribune for Stephen King. They want us on the Green Mile. Notice is given to Stephen King, father respondents, to all whom it may concern on March 20th, 2019. You knew who I was March the 13th. You didn't want to tell me about the situation that occurred. You convinced the mother not to go through with the willing acknowledgement of who I was. You told her, hey, the baby's gonna be able to go with him if you tell us who he is. So you made up this Stephen King situation. Because in the paperwork from the case assessment from Brittany King, it shows that I was known before Stephen. No Stephen King was mentioned in the case report, but I am. You try your best to hide that by not mentioning me until page 70 of 74 pages, even though all the other fathers are mentioned. But no Stephen King is mentioned in that case assessment. I'm mentioned. And I should have been called that day so that I could have had my son without all of this kidnapping. All of this kidnapping that interrupts our relationship, the development plans that I had for my son, that I have for my son, that's being disrupted. It's being disrupted. Okay, so that was the only false letter we saw. That was the only false letter that they claim they sent out monthly, but this is the only one that they can produce with no date, no address that they send it to. This is the only effort they say that this is their claim for 3 years of reaching out to me. No, the situation that shows you the last time that the visitation we had was disrupted on the 29th of July. It was disrupted for reasons that were hostile by Felicia Gladney. All of the other DCFS caseworkers didn't have no problem with me capturing the memories with my son on video. But see, they like to get on the stand and lie, as Nyla Clay did before she was unable to make this last court appearance here on July the 27th. She wasn't able to make it because one of her siblings had died right after she lied about the relationship I had with my son. Now she's unable to make it to court because of her karma. Okay, lying about my relationship with my son. This is the same thing that Felicia did and was doing. When we pulled the transcript, I told the attorney, that's another dereliction he had. I told him way back in May, we need our transcript. He refused to get the transcript. I have that on the record. Hopefully it's not needed for appeal. We still have enough information for the judge to do the right thing. I'm going to court today, and I hope he does. I hope he does the right thing. I hope that by the time this video is posted, he's done the right thing. Okay, so we saw the fake notice the DCFS claims that they reach out to people about from Tasia Bowen. We hear that on the stand. Once you pull the transcript up, you'll see that Shaquita Shedd says that the only way she sought to reach out to me was in the jail and welfare. That's what she testified to. And my attorney should have followed up. Why didn't you do a search with the IRS or a job? That's what he's supposed to follow up and say. He was supposed to object to the DCFS supervisor, Patricia Turner, saying that the services that I had was substance abuse and parenting. He was supposed to object to that because I don't have any grounds for that being necessary. He was supposed to object to that. What are your grounds for having that necessary for an honorably discharged sailor who works, who has no criminal record? What are your grounds for that? He didn't follow up with that. I told him to follow up with that. In my notes, you'll see that I instructed the attorney to do this. I told him to ask her, what entity did they tell me to set up an appointment with? Name the entity. Don't just say, okay, I gave him substance abuse or parenting. Who was the person who I was to set the appointment with to follow up with that? Even though you made that up as well. Okay, you never assign any of that. And this is the proof. Because the only documentation that they were able to provide with the services was the visitation plan. That's what Castaneda said was the evidence for services. He said the evidence for services, Castaneda said, will be this document here that he's going to give to us. They gave it to us. I reviewed it at the court. This is what we have. This visitation plan here. There's nothing in here about services. Nothing in there about services or parental classes, or there's nothing in here about parental classes or substance abuse classes in there. There's nothing about that. What we do have in my Exhibit 6 is correspondence I had with Felicia Gladney, in which she states the only thing that I need to be compliant is my letterhead for my job. Showing her my letterhead for my job, my pay stubs. That's what the communication has between me and Felicia Gladney. The same person who John Castaneda stated yesterday on the 27th, on July 27th, who he stated provided me with the services. This is what his evidence was. There's nothing on there about substance abuse. There's nothing on there about parenting. And our correspondence, again, in Exhibit 6, she said to be compliant, I need to provide my job. They had jobs. I have job compliance of services throughout the duration of this periodicity. Throughout the duration of this periodicity and prior to it. Which is why my due process should have been respected and my son should have never been disunited from his father. Now, this foster parent who you're going to call, she's going to explain to you all the distress that my son is experiencing as a result of you all snatching him away from the loving direction and guidance of his honorable father. And I pray that you all make the correct decision in reuniting him with his honorable father.